have to say that at the time, I wasn't impacted as I am right now, or the following day I was more impacted, if that makes any sense. Just we were all on auto mode. We were just working, and for me, for example, when I saw the way my brothers, some of my brothers, and the dispatchers were affected, it affected me also. I have to say that this is also my vocation. I got into this job to help people, so I guess when you really, when you're able to see it through, and it makes it that much better. If that answers your question, sir.
Lieutenant, when Maddy told you that she was just 17 years old, what was going through your mind?
Well, first of all, I was so happy that the AFPU scale worked. That's just a scale that we use to determine responsiveness when the patient is not fully responsive. And I go, wow. You're almost like struck, because she was semi-conscious, like the doc was saying that when she got here she was responding, and with us it was the same. So when we were able to elicit a painful response, and she told us she was 17, that made the job easier for us, because this hospital takes 17-year-olds. So.
How many times was she shot?
At least 3 times.
And how long of a period was it between the 3 surgeries that she had?
Within. Sorry.
You can hold it up here.
3 surgeries, they all been done within 40-hour period.
And where can you say the gunshot, it was her chest or?
It was her right upper extremity, right chest, and right abdomen.
The decision was made to bring her here. If she had been brought to Broward General, which is much further away, were her injuries, would she have made it?
Well, she kept on bleeding, so the training that we do with our EMS personnel is to grab and run to the nearest trauma facility. That's what we teach them, and that's what they did.
Did that save her life, you think?
Yes, of course.
Ms. Franco, how did her gunshot wounds compare? How did her gunshot wounds compare to gunshot wounds you've seen?
Smaller caliber.
Yeah.
So there is definitely a blast injury associated with bigger caliber. There's also cavitation effect that we see with bullets going through the soft tissue and vital organs.
What does that mean?
When the bullet travels through the soft tissue, it causes certain waves, shock waves, that destroy tissue adjacent to the bullet tract. So as a result, you see more tissue damage, soft tissue damage, also organ damage.
Does she still have fragments or bullets inside?
Yes.
How many? Doctor, how many bullets was she hit with?
At least 3.
Doctor, how lucky is she to be alive?
She's very lucky. Very, very lucky. Because we're talking about large caliber bullets penetrating through the chest and the abdomen. So those are significant injuries.
What kind of follow-up care does she need? Does she need additional therapy, rehab, surgery?
Not enough. Her chest and abdomen completely healed, but her right upper extremity has 2 tendon damage. So those tendons need to heal in about 4 to 6 weeks before she starts occupational therapy.
Did the bullets hit any vital organs?
Lung.
Doctor, do you think she'll, long-term, will she be able to play basketball again?
Well, you got to see how much she does with occupational therapy for the next 6 weeks or so, but I assume so she'll be fine.
Have any of you ever seen combat wounds? And if you have, how does this compare to what you've seen from combat battlefields?
Not in my experience. I'm a civil trauma surgeon. Never been involved in military, but again, we mainly deal with the small caliber bullets, so this is definitely different.
As you looked at safer, were there any complications or a point at which you thought maybe she wasn't going to turn out well?
No, it was always a positive attitude to treatment, to management, because again, this is what we do at this facility. We're a trauma center, and we deal with these injuries.
Can you explain how it's possible that the chest and abdomen
traumatic?
Her age, young people have a tendency to heal very fast. It's very rewarding to treat pediatric patients because they do very well.
Superintendent Ojeda, how was it like seeing her today? The last time you saw her, I'm sure it was very different. Seeing her today where she's actually smiling, what was that like for you?
Hold on real quick. I actually saw, I got a chance to see Maddie last shift. I dropped off a patient in the ER, and Dr. Mina was so nice. She saw me, she recognized me, and actually came up to me and goes, Laz, do you want to go see her? And we went up, and I saw her. So when I saw her, I felt, I don't know, just the sense of being used. I don't know if that translates, but just being a tool in God's hands, I guess, something like that. That's what it felt like.
What's your reaction when you hear the doctor say she's lucky to be alive?
It's almost like a confirmation of my thought process on seeing it. It actually helps me for the next patient, because when you see somebody in such a decompensated shock state, and you make a determination to bring her to the closest trauma center, and the doctor says that saved her life, it validates the thought process of myself and the crew that was involved in that call.
Superintendent Ojeda, do you, as a EMS, have a protocol that you can enter a building when there's an active shooter or a shooter going on?
Yes, thankfully our department has given us a lot of training with active shooters, and usually we don't enter. When we got there, we believed at the time we were in a yellow zone. Usually who goes in is a task force comprised of officers and paramedics. I don't know if that was the case, if they made entry on that call, but I was in the yellow zone, and I was waiting for Maddie, I guess.
Tell me a little bit about her rehab. What is she likely to be undergoing the next phase? What do you think is the next few months ahead to describe her rehab?
Well, she has to do occupational therapy for her hand because where the tendons are damaged, and that's the only thing that she's going to have to do. That's it.
The mom said something that was divine, that she was still here. Do you think there's any miracle in spite of her now?
Yeah, I believe in miracles. Yes, I would say so.
Dr. Boyer, what can you say about your department during all this, how it was handled overall? What would you want to say how it was handled by your doctors?
I mean, I would say that it was a seamless process, and the response was kind of mimicked a drill that we had. We recently, maybe 6-9 months ago, had an active shooter drill, which involved pre-hospital personnel and also hospital personnel to gear up for events like this. So when it truly came in, the response of the emergency department was geared up, and we were ready.
Doctor, you worked on a lot of patients, both of you that day. Can you take us a little bit through that? I mean, we're focusing on Maddy, I know, and she's lucky to be alive, but you guys saw a lot of people that day.
So part of our hospital-wide response is that we're ready to take on multiple patients. So every patient that came into us got the same exact care and treatment that Maddy got, and have all done well. And that's the reason why we do this. Like Dr. Nietzsche Parenko said, we're a trauma center here. We're prepared to handle these type of injuries. We're prepared to handle multiple patients coming in simultaneously. We mobilize multiple teams in a variety of sections in our department so we could care for them all equally and swiftly.
Were they all as serious as Maddy? I mean, can you help me understand a little bit about how you guys prioritize and...
So, as I mentioned before, when Maddy came in, we had 3 people, including her, 3 patients in a critical condition. And the assessment is based on type of injuries and on hemodynamic status. So if someone who has multiple gunshot wounds to the torso with low blood pressure, we consider them critical, and the treatment has to start immediately. So we had 3 patients, and all 3 of them were in critical condition. We had to go with 3 patients into the operating rooms within the next 30 to 45 minutes after their arrival.
So the lieutenant, I just want to clarify, you had mentioned the importance of trying to establish her age and bringing her here. If she had not responded, what would the course of action have been?
I think we would have taken her to Broward General. So during an MCI, our rules are different, meaning that the amount of patients that exist overwhelm a rescue. So there are multiple facets, if you will. So we had a transportation officer, and he makes that determination. My response was that, and in all honesty, I was so full of adrenaline that I missed that part. So as soon as I've apologized to my chief since then. But once we made the determination that her age was, and like I'll go back to being Providence, because like Doc was saying, perhaps if we would have gone away the 30 miles, she wouldn't have made it. So something made me ask her what her age was. Something made me ask or disregard a faraway voice saying she needs to go to Broward General. And we brought her here, and everything turned out well for her and for her family. The cutoff age here is...
No, we treat at our facility, we treat every patient is 15 and above. 15 and above.
Can I clarify something? Sorry. So as the doctor was saying, the cutoff age here is 15 and above. However, that day, those rules went out the window because we were working under MCI rules. Those are rules for transportation based on severity of patients. You take them to whatever hospital is closest or whatever hospital accommodates that patient, usually trauma hospitals. Like I said, my 2 cents or my contribution was that I missed that MCI. I missed the voice in the back telling me, and I went straight with age and patient presentation, which I thought she was in frank shock. I turned, she had entry wounds to her torso. She was only responding to verbal stimuli. So I made the determination, along with my crew, to bring her here and give her the best chance.
Did she say anything else to you? Did she know how bad she was?
No, sir, but we were able to elicit, using the same methodology, we were able to elicit her name. She told us it's Maddy Wilford. We were able to elicit a patient history, medications, and allergies. We were able to elicit also, did she have any complaints? Because with attention pneumo, you're worried about shortness of breath because you're only working on one lung. So when I asked her, is there anything bothering you? Are you short of breath? And she said no to both after painful stimuli, then that would have led us along another route.
Lieutenant, how did, there have been so many school shootings. What was it like for you to have it happen in your community and see these children face to face?
Well, like I said before, initially we were on auto mode, meaning we were just working based on our instincts, on our training. So it didn't hit me until the next, let me correct myself. It didn't hit me until that night, until we were doing our stress debriefing, and I saw other people affected, and then it affected me. And the following day, it also affected me when I was at the gym with my 17-year-old son. And I thought about what a sad state the world is in, that this happens, and then that affected me. Yes, I did. What is it that you would like to? Yes, absolutely.
For the doctors, clearly her recovery is going very well. When do you think Maddy can go back to school?
There's so many of them. I think she's right-handed, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not sure how much writing she can do, but she can. I expect her to go back to school next week. I really don't see the reason from physical standpoint, from the medical standpoint, for not to go back to school and study.
How impressive of a recovery is that then?
It is very impressive. It is very impressive. Considering the types of injuries, considering the amount of blood loss, considering the amount of blood products that she was given for her resuscitation, the 3 surgeries that she had to undergo, it's amazing.
We're going to take one or two more questions for the doctors and then do some full asides.
Any other injuries you saw from other patients?
Other patients had mainly injuries to the torso, chest, abdomen, and a few of them had injuries to the upper and lower extremities.
Your last question?
Did you treat other patients? Did you go back for other patients?
We went back to other patients, but Maddy was our only patient that day. Because I've just finished reviewing our reports, there were, I believe, our department alone transported 13 patients from that scene. I don't know if it was 9 or 10 within the first 10 minutes. Don't quote me on the numbers, it's just a ballpark. So when we picked up, I believe we were third rescue on scene, we picked up Maddy. You guys already know the story. We dropped her off. We went back to the scene, and everything had finished then, so she was our only patient.